There is a terrifying ghost inside your weekly routine. It doesn't scream, it doesn't break things, and it doesn't give you a fair warning. It operates in total, absolute silence. Think back to your last major failure. An hour before it happened, you were completely fine. You were productive, you were listening to worship music or an inspirational podcast, and your mind felt clear. If someone had asked you right then, "Are you going to ruin your progress tonight?" you would have answered with absolute conviction, "No way, not this time. I am stronger than that." And yet, just 60 minutes later, you found yourself sitting in the exact same wreckage, staring at the screen, holding the bottle, or feeling the cold sting of spoken regret. What happened? How does a human being go from complete spiritual clarity to total moral surrender in less than an hour? The answer lies in a hidden window of time. We call it the silent 5 minutes. This is the invisible boundary line where your old nature wages a quiet, highly calculated psychological coup against your higher self. It is the exact moment the battle is actually won or lost. You don't relapse when you perform the bad habit. You relapse the moment you allow the gate of your mind to swing open during those silent 5 minutes. Tonight, we are going to walk straight into that dark laboratory of the human brain, turn on the light, and look at exactly why you keep losing a chess match you didn't even know you were playing. To understand why your armor fails you so frequently during these 5 minutes, we have to look at a fundamental biological flaw built into human design. It is a concept modern psychology calls decision fatigue. Every single day, from the moment you open your eyes, your brain is running a massive, invisible energy deficit. Every choice you make, from what clothes you wear, to how you reply to an angry email from your boss, to holding your tongue when someone cuts you off in traffic, requires a chemical fuel called glucose. Your willpower is not a permanent spiritual superpower. It operates exactly like a finite, lithium-ion smartphone battery. By the time 10 p.m. arrives, you are not just tired physically, your armor is chemically depleted. You have spent 12 hours draining your battery. And this is exactly when the trap is sprung. The shadow within you never attacks when your battery is at 100%. It waits in the bushes until the house is quiet, the lights are low, and your mind is completely exhausted. During those silent 5 minutes, your brain undergoes an executive shutdown. The prefrontal cortex, the logical, disciplined part of your mind that respects the altar, goes offline. The primal, survival-driven amygdala takes the wheel. When you sit in that quiet room late at night, you aren't fighting a spiritual giant with a sword. You are fighting a heavily drained battery that desperately wants a quick, cheap hit of chemical relief to survive the night. Let me tell you about a man named David. David was an incredibly sharp, brilliant operations manager for a logistics company in Chicago. He could coordinate hundreds of moving trucks across 3 different time zones with flawless precision. He was a leader in his community, married, and a deeply devoted man of faith. But David had a secret, reoccurring shadow, an addiction to late-night online validation and adult content. For years, David blamed his failures on a lack of spirituality. He thought he just needed to pray longer, fast harder, or feel more guilty. But when we traced the exact timeline of his relapses, a strange pattern emerged. David didn't relapse on days when his life was falling apart. He relapsed on days when his workload was massive, and he spent hours making high-stakes decisions. One particular Thursday, after a grueling 14-hour shift, David arrived at his hotel room on a business trip. He felt a familiar, quiet restlessness creeping into his chest. This was the beginning of his silent 5 minutes. His brain didn't scream, "Go ruin your life." Instead, it whispered a tiny, logical lie. "You worked so hard today. You just need a distraction to wind down so you can sleep. Just check your phone for a minute." What David's brain was experiencing was the dopamine mirage. Dopamine is not the chemical of pleasure. It is the chemical of anticipation. It is the molecule that promises satisfaction right before you get it. During those 5 minutes, David's brain flooded his system with a massive wave of anticipation, making the bad habit look like water in a scorching desert. He didn't want the consequences of the sin. He hated the consequences. But in that 5-minute window, the mirage was so blindingly bright that his depleted armor stood absolutely no chance. He clicked the link. He crossed the line. And the moment the act was done, the mirage evaporated instantly, leaving him sitting in a dry, hollow desert of deep shame. David didn't have a soul problem. He had an unprotected gate during his silent 5 minutes. So, how do we fix this? How do you armor yourself against an invisible phantom that strikes when you are at your weakest? The answer is simple, but it requires radical, strategic honesty. You must stop trying to fight the battle during the 5 minutes and start pre-engineering your victory before the window ever opens. First, you must understand that during the silent 5 minutes, negotiation is immediate defeat. The moment you start arguing with the thought, the second you say, well, maybe I'll just look for a second, maybe I'll just check this one thing, you have already lost the match. Your brain is already high on dopamine anticipation. You cannot out-argue a chemical flood. You must implement what we call automated armor. If your phone is your gateway to failure at 10 p.m., that phone cannot sleep in your bedroom. It belongs in the kitchen, locked down, or completely powered off by 9 p.m. If your laptop is the issue, it needs to be closed. You must build physical, structural walls around your life when your battery is at 100% so that they can protect you when your battery hits 0%. Second, you must learn to bring the altar into those 5 minutes. Instead of running away or panicking when the urge hits, you sit still. You look at the urge objectively and you say out loud, this is not my desire. This is just my willpower battery running low. This is just a chemical mirage. I am a child of light, and I do not bow to shadows. You don't fight the darkness with a shovel. You simply wait it out. The high-intensity wave of dopamine anticipation lasts an average of only 3 to 5 minutes. If you can hold the gate, stand your ground, and refuse to negotiate for just 300 seconds, the chemical wave will break against your armor and recede. Here is the permanent takeaway, the gold standard for your spiritual warfare moving forward. The quality of your character is determined by how you guard the quietest corners of your day. The shadow wants to convince you that you are helpless, that you are hardwired for failure, and that you will always be a slave to this cycle. But that is an absolute dying lie. You are not weak. You have just been leaving the front gate of your palace completely wide open while the guards are asleep. Tonight, the arena is changing. We are no longer managing our sins. We are displacing them with a higher, fiercer authority. If you are done allowing a 5-minute chemical window to rob you of your destiny, your peace, and your divine alignment, I want you to drop a massive marker of accountability right now. Go down into the comment section, step up to the arena, and type these 4 specific words: I am guarding the gates. Let the comment section become an unbroken wall of steel shields. Write it as a binding contract with your future self. When 10 p.m. arrives tonight, and that silent phantom comes knocking on the door of your mind, you will remember those words. You will look at the gate, you will put your hand on your armor, and you will refuse to step an inch backward. You are not fighting a losing war. You are walking a narrow, magnificent path. If you need the strategies, the brotherhood, and the deep blueprints to keep your armor sharp and your altar pure, hit the subscribe button right now. We are building something unbreakable here. Stand tall, watch the perimeter, and remember, you are still in the fight.